presidents. And at the meeting, they had someone talk about this thing called the Linux operating system. He wonders, if my geologists don't know where the gold is, maybe somebody else does. So,
and now, for your listening pleasure, a few moments of pure digital silence.
so he does a radical thing. In the mining industry, your most secret IP, it's kept in high security computer systems, is your geological data. He takes his geological data and he publishes it on the web and holds a contest called the Goldcorp Challenge. $500,000 prize money to the top 3 submissions on is there gold on this property, and if so, where? He gets 77 submissions. They come from around the world. They use techniques he's never heard of, not just geologists, mathematicians, computer scientists. He's got chemists getting organic solutions to inorganic problems. He gives out the $500,000 in prize money. And for that investment, finds $3.4 billion worth of gold. His market value goes from $90 million to $10 billion. And I can tell you, because he's my neighbor, he's a happy camper.
And he's now moved to the most expensive house in the neighborhood.
Well, he just renovated his house now that he's a billionaire. So, but it's a great story because it underlines these 4 principles. Peering. Okay, it's not just about my people within the boundaries of my company, it's who are their peers.
You do not any longer bring a top physicist in or a top engineer in to tackle a particular problem in mechanics. You bring in people from biology and psychology. You bring them in from all over the management and you say, now here's the problem. You tackle it as a team. You're just closed off now. They work on it without any of the specialist knowledge. The specialist simply says, look, I've been up against that problem before, it's insoluble. The team doesn't know enough to know. They're not specialists enough to know.
You will not bring the specialist whose specialty the problem is.
That is right. You keep him out.
You keep him out. If it is a problem in physics, you keep out the physicist.
That is correct.
Marshall,
this is called operations research. There are books on it.
You do not bring in the specialist.
No, you keep him out deliberately. You bring in people of other competences.
Now, how do you reach him? Well, what you do is to put on the air not the knowledge, but the ignorance. That is, you explain
your problem.
The problem is this, and what we have done is this. We have done these things to solve this problem. And somebody out there will say, but you are doing all the wrong things. You would do it this way.
Yeah.
And so, that's what I call organized ignorance.
Now, this idea of organizing ignorance rather than directing from viewpoint knowledge, but organizing field of knowledge from multiple points of view. Is
organizing amateurism.
Amateur field versus the specialist viewpoint on problem.
Now, has Drucker written about this?
Now that he's a billionaire. So, but it's a great story because it underlines these 4 principles. Peering. Okay, it's not just about my people within the boundaries of my company, it's who are their peers. And they might not even be geologists, they might be a computer science person. He opens up the boundaries of the corporation. Thirdly, he shares his IP. Now, you don't want to share all your IP, obviously, but you need a portfolio of IP, some that you own and some that you share. And he doesn't think global act local, he acts globally. He views the world as his geology department and
use the mass audience and give them the problem and not the answers.
Then that is definitely a positive point in favor of the mass media.
Well, again, you're making a value judgment. I'm not making any judgments about the mass media. I say, if you want to solve these problems, give them to the ignorant. Don't give them to the learned.
But you do want to solve them, don't you?
Of course.
Well, that's a value judgment then.
No. It's a practical need.
You know, the best people to work on this or that problem don't necessarily work for you. And I'll add, and they probably never will.
Hi, this is Lois. Almost every problem will be characterized quickly and the fix will be obvious to someone.
Yes, I know just what what you want. We don't carry that brand, but I think Gimbel's does. Let me see. Yes, here it is. I thought I noticed it before. $2.98. Looks like an exceptional bargain.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Not at all. Not at all.
Depending on how much the individual is involved, they're actually also given pieces of the revenue.
Why didn't one of you think of this idea? It's the greatest goodwill policy I ever heard of.
Major changes that's come into the world with the electronic environment is that the audience becomes workforce.
Every shopper in New York City suddenly thinks of Macy as a
And he gets a cut of every royalty that's sold, and this is now a quirky product that's sold at Home Depot. So that's a great example of co-innovation where crowds and companies are working together. Employees and customers start to look the same.
thinking only of the welfare of the public. And what does that make Gimbel? Nothing but a profiteering money grubber. Well, two can play at this game. From now on, if we haven't got what the customer wants...
Me da mucha ternura. ¿Por qué tiene que haber una competencia entre las marcas?
Now we'll take some at my store.
Just a minute. I have something I'd like to give our friend here. This is just a little something to show my appreciation for all you've done.
Thank you, Mr. Macy. Ooh, that's very kind of you. I didn't think you were that generous. That's a bit of money. What are you going to do with it? Well...
Terminé acá, pero fue por una buena causa.
King. Send him back to Macy's. And what's more, we'll do the same thing in our stores in Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Pittsburgh. I'll get to work on it right away. Imagine anything like that. I have a friend, a doctor. He's been very kind to me. He needs an X-ray machine.
TV is an X-ray machine. It's not pictures. It's pure X-ray. The effect on the inner life of people is fantastic. It's an inner trip. The X-ray generations since TV, completely different people from before TV. It has nothing to do with the programs they watch. It has to do with the profound experience of being X-rayed.
Oh, I don't think that's going to be enough. I'd better give you some...
I'll make up the difference.
Buy it through the store and get 10% discount.
I can get it for cost.
So this is surprising, but U-Haul, you can actually invest or retire perhaps on that truck, and every quarter you get a dividend for the performance of that vehicle. Crowdfunding, if corporations on that truck, and every quarter you get a dividend for the performance of that vehicle. Crowdfunding, if corporations do it, is actually the highest form of loyalty. You can
get those fire engines at Schoenfeld's on Lexington Avenue. Only $8.50, a wonderful bargain.
Schoenfeld's? I don't get it.
Oh, I keep track of the toy market pretty closely. Does that surprise you, sir?
Surprise me. Macy sending people to other stores. Are you kidding me?
Well, the only important thing is...
Pure.
Make the children happy.
But crowdfunding crowdfunding, if corporations do it, is actually the highest form of loyalty.
Whatever. Defense rests. Everybody can fuck off. Except you. I didn't mean you, but those
Thank
two
you,
guys
Richard.
and him.
You may be
You
seated.
guys get the fuck out of the way, please.
What will happen when intelligence is recognized as a global resource?
This is
This might not just be only Google's problem to invest to ensure that the right adverts in the right place at the right time, but could this actually spread? Could people turn their attention away from this juggernaut onto other video providers?
Idea that perception is something they do all the time. They have immense shortcomings.
When you make a sandwich at home, do you reach down past the first 3 or 4 pieces of bread to go down and get the good bread?
And then start looking at the facts. No perception in the sense of actual reading.
I really wouldn't know about this.
The language of one's...
I don't watch much TV. I like to read. What do you do, a lot of that? Did you ever notice kind of stuff?
The language of one's and the modes of one's environment, very rare. Only artists are trained in this skill. They develop this skill out of intense fascination with the problem.
Who's the first person who's going to complain about this guy, this choice? Which person in society?
Fascination with the problem, but they tend to specialize in one or another of the medium.
Lo and behold, Richard Altman shows up with Chris.